Good evening and welcome to the February 22nd meeting of the Lake Forest City Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Honorable James Cowhey.
Here.
Alderman Drumhouse.
Here.
Alderman Novit.
Here.
Alderman Woodman.
Here.
Alderman Moore.
Here.
Alderman Morsch.
Here.
Alderman Schoenhyder.
Here.
Alderman Looby.
Here.
Alderman Palmer.
Here.
9 present, 0 absent. Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Bertie. Will you please join me in a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we have a very special evening this evening. As you should know, yesterday was the 150th actual date of our celebration for the city, and in that regard I'd like to read a resolution into the record. Whereas the City of Lake Forest was founded on February 21, 1861 and reaches its 150th birthday in 2011, and whereas the city has undertaken a mission to provide appropriate activities, entertainment, and events in celebration of the 150th anniversary with a view to bring together the people of Lake Forest and furthering civic interest and advancement of community fellowship. Whereas the City of Lake Forest honors residents with a year-long celebration taking place from the tree lighting ceremony on December 2010 through the Heritage Festival on Labor Day weekend 2011. Therefore, be it hereby proclaimed that said 2011 is time to celebrate in the City of Lake Forest, and residents are encouraged to gather together to actively participate in community events planned to commemorate the 150th anniversary. And with that, I'd like to present this to the chair of the 150th committee, our former mayor, Michael Rummel.
Well, thank you. I wish I could say this was all my effort, but I have to tell you, I have a wonderful committee. We put the word out, and 50, 60 people raised their hand and said, we want to do this. So to every one of them, and I'm not going to name each one individually, but to every one of them, I want to say thank you, because they have stepped forward. They have made this an exciting project. We have a number of things going on, as you well know, and we have a website, which is live there on the wall, and we have really had a lot of excitement over this. I also must comment to the generosity of not only our citizens, but our corporate community. We have put a challenge out to put trees in the city, 150 trees that are commemorative. HSBC last week sent us a donation of $10,000 to put trees within our city. 3 other corporations have pledged to put trees within our city. So not only has the corporate world gotten involved in our 150th, but individuals have been asked, not like the 100th, but just been asked to support this, and we have massive support among individuals who have written checks to the city to support this. And you can buy a commemorative tree for your own house if you wish to do that. That's part of the 150th, but I have to say from top to bottom, people have stepped forward in the community like they always have, and we are going to have a lot of fun at the 150th. The Historical Activities Subcommittee has been working very actively on several projects, one of which is a timeline which can be found at the 150th website. Susan, you want to show us where that is? Click on the 150th icon at the city website and go to lakeforest150.com, click on History, and then on the timeline. Each dot represents an event in history. So if you actually go to one of those dots, it was very scary. I went to one dot and there was a picture of me in a tuxedo, so I closed that one immediately. But it shows you through history what's going on, and if there's anyone who wishes to add to this or bring up any other suggestions, we welcome your input. And please send it to info@lflbhistory.org, and it will get on the website. But this interactive website is up, and the official kickoff is March 13th for it. A special thanks goes to the committee for bringing a great tool to our community. And now I'd like to introduce another project that we have going. Okay. The Historical Activities Subcommittee And thanks to Janet Hack, Iona Griffith, Sarah Barnes, and the actors, who are Ron Weimer, Jim and Elaine Opsnick, Harry Griffith, and Harold Morrison, who are going to present the reenactment of the charter signing for the city of Lake Forest, which took place 150 years ago at February 21st, 1861. Unfortunately, we could not have it on the actual date because Jim decided not to have a council meeting last night. Oh, wait, it's a state holiday, so we couldn't have a council meeting last night. So, actors?
Well, good afternoon, Lake Forest.
And Lake Bluff and Norwood.
And welcome to the Trevor and Buffy Show. I'm Trevor Armgard IV, and this is Buffy Huffington. We bring you the latest news and keep you up to date on the events
And the gossip.
happening right here in Lake Forest.
And Lake Bluff and Norwood.
Yes, Buffy. But tonight we're going to focus on Lake Forest. And do you know why? It's because Lake Forest was granted a city charter in February of 1861, and that means that we have a special birthday this year. We are 150 years old.
Well, I don't know about you, Trevor, but I certainly
Wait a
am
minute,
not
but
even
Buffy,
close.
the city is 150 years old.
Oh.
Anyway, we're broadcasting tonight from the City Council chambers, and we have a very special treat for our viewers as well as our studio audience. Using the technology of time travel, we have reached back into the past and have transported to the present time 3 of our founding fathers, Mr. Harvey Thompson, the first mayor of Lake Forest, Mr. Sylvester Lynn, also a Lake Forest mayor, as well as the founder of what is now Lake Forest College, and Professor Samuel Miller, the first headmaster of Lake Forest Academy and the first superintendent of Lake Forest Public Schools.
Ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome these distinguished gentlemen.
Come in, come in, come in.
Come in. Come in.
Please, have a seat, please. Ah, the wonder of it all. Huh?
Where exactly are we, Professor?
Why, you are still in Lake Forest, gentlemen. Don't you recognize it? Did it really look so different when you lived here?
Why, yes, young lady, it looks terribly different.
And that's precisely why we brought you here tonight, gentlemen. We're hoping that you can give our viewers and our audience a better idea of what Lake Forest was really like in the early days of the community and of the city.
For instance, how was this area chosen to be the site of a new community?
Well, my dear, there were some Presbyterian leaders in Chicago who wanted to build an institute of higher learning in the Chicago area. The Methodists had already opened Northwestern.
And we Presbyterians were not about to take a back seat to anybody.
And when Samuel here, in 1855, finished supervising the building of the first railroad in Lake County, connecting Chicago and Waukegan, it was decided we should have a search for a site here for Lake Forest somewhere along the rail line.
And so, in the summer of 1855, a committee of 5 people, 4 Presbyterian ministers and 1 layman, headed north out of Chicago on that train. They disembarked at a point later called Farwell Crossing.
Isn't that the spot where Ryan Place meets Western Avenue?
Right, you are, Buffy.
And they made their way through the forest to the lake. It was decided then and there that that would be where they would found their university.
It was Reverend Slocum, who was visiting from Cincinnati, who suggested Lake Forest as the name of the new community that would surround the college. Because from where they stood, all they could see was a lake and a forest.
Yes, but weren't there families already living here in this part of Lake County?
You, sir, are correct. There were quite a few farming families. You might have called them pioneers, and many of them were of Irish ancestry, who settled here, some just west of Green Bay Road, and some further west out near Telegraph Road.
And as I recall, Lind University was chartered in 1857, and Lake Forest Academy opened in 1858. But when did Lake Forest become a city?
Well, it was a process. The city plat was laid out in 1857. The first actual structure was the Lake Forest Hotel, built in 1858. It was located on that triangle land over on Deer Path, just east of McKinley. Of course, later, when the new hotel was built, it was later be known as the old hotel.
Lake Forest Academy held classes there for a while.
Really?
And picnickers and land speculators would come out on the train from Chicago and spend the weekend here in the country.
I remember we had 4 students that first year. All boys, of course. In early 1859, the first academy building was completed and ready for occupancy.
Also, beginning in 1859, many homes were built here, including the Quinlan home and the Holt home.
And the Thompson House.
The Miller House.
And my personal favorite, the Lind home.
My colleagues, do you remember the first business establishment in Lake Forest? It was the Wright store right here on the corner of Deer Path and McKinley.
Wow! And all of that was before Lake Forest became a real city?
And wasn't it in the summer of 1859 that the founding fathers began to recognize the need for the needs of a fast-growing community to draw up a charter of incorporation?
That is correct, sir. At that time, we organized an interim government with an elected board of trustees who would oversee Lake Forest until the charter was received and approved.
By 1860, we were building sidewalks.
When the charter was finally sent to us, it came back to us from Springfield. It was entitled, An Act to Incorporate the City of Lake Forest. It had been signed by Governor Richard Yates and Secretary of State O.M. Hatch. And it was dated February 21, 1861.
It dealt with taxation, police and fire departments, and water and street departments, as well as establishing a school district, all of which would operate under the supervision of a mayor and 4 aldermen, 2 from each ward.
The charter further stated that voters should all be free, white, male, and over 21. 29 of us gathered at the Lake Forest Hotel on March 23rd, 1861, and approved the charter by a vote of 25 to 4.
Wow! This is all so fascinating.
Very interesting indeed, gentlemen. Now, do you have any questions for us?
Go ahead.
Well, actually, yes. I have a question. You mentioned earlier that we were in the City Council chamber room, correct?
Yes, indeedy. In fact, the council is holding their monthly meeting right here tonight, immediately following our broadcast.
Well, I don't mean to be rude, but why are there women here?
Well, that's because nowadays women as well as men can not only vote, but they can also hold public office.
And that's not just here in Lake Forest, but in all across America and in almost every country in the world.
Yes. And even more surprising is that most of us men are happy that women enjoy the same rights as men.
All people in our communities enjoy equal rights, no matter what their race, color, gender, or creed.
Oh my goodness, that is truly amazing. I'm sure you know, I'm sure every person here knows, that from the very beginning, Lake Forest was headed in that direction. Our public schools included boys and girls, including the children of former slaves and freeborn blacks.
And we also had a seminary for women.
Yes. Well, that just about does it for our broadcast for tonight. It's been a real pleasure to have you gentlemen with us this evening, and I thank you very much for your time and for sharing with us your experiences from the early days of Lake Forest.
Yes, and thank you for doing such a wonderful job getting this great city off to a roaring start.
Let us help these fabulous founding fathers. Say thank you. And that's it for tonight, folks.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Certainly want to thank the Lake Forest and Lake Bluff Historical Society. That was a fantastic rendition of the past. And you're certainly welcome to come up here anytime when we have an absence in the town to join us. And I do feel we're a little bit underdressed now. I think we need our top hats and our gloves. We're a little behind the times. But thank you guys, that was fantastic. And thank you, Mike Rummel, for all your efforts in the 150th celebration. I did want to just mention that the HSBC gift of the $10,000 for the trees was also certainly a big effort on that goes to Edgar and Nora Ancona, who are Lake Forest residents who helped perpetuate that gift, and we thank them both for their commitment. But, I also would like to introduce an Abby Vashna. You have a resolution that you want to bring up this evening as well?
This is a tough act to follow.
It certainly is.
I have only a few whereases to offer. This is from our state representative, the Honorable Karen May. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please accept my congratulations on the 150th anniversary of the City of Lake Forest. It is my honor to represent the City of Lake Forest and its residents in the state legislature. And here is House Resolution number 50, offered by Representative Karen May. Whereas the members of the Illinois House of Representatives are pleased to congratulate the citizens of Lake Forest on the occasion of the city's 150th anniversary. Whereas the rich history of the city of Lake Forest began in 1835 when Michael Meehan built his homestead near Old Telegraph Road in 1846. Lake Forest's first post office was established near present-day Waukegan Road in 1857. And Lind University, which would eventually become Lake Forest College, was chartered. Whereas on February 21st, 1861, the city of Lake Forest received its charter. Harvey M. Thompson was subsequently chosen to serve as mayor of Lake Forest. Lake Forest's first public elementary school, Quinlan School, was opened at Walnut and Washington Roads the following year. Whereas the city of Lake Forest continued to grow steadily throughout the 1800s, in 1894, the first consolidated K-12 public school, Central School, opened on Illinois Road. In 1895, telephone service was established. And the Lake Forest had the city's first police officer, James Gordon, appointed in 1896. The Highland Park Electric Light Company brought electricity to Lake Forest, and whereas in 1898 the Lake Forest City Hall was constructed at Deer Path and Forest Avenue. That same year, the city established a public library, appointed the first library board, and established the Lake Forest Fire Department. The arrival of the 20th century brought a period of robust growth to the city of Lake Forest. In 1917, Market Square, called the first integrated and artfully designed shopping center in the country, was completed at a cost of $750,000. In 1923, the Lake Forest Lake Bluff Kiwanis Club was established. The Deer Path Theater was opened in 1928. followed by the construction of the Lake Forest Library in 1931. In 1942, the Lake Forest Hospital was completed. Whereas the city of Lake Forest continued its pattern of prosperity in the latter half of the 20th century, the provisions for the creation of a Chicago Bears training facility at Lake Forest College were finalized in 1981. By 2000, the population of Lake Forest swelled to 20,059. Whereas the city of Lake Forest will celebrate its 150th anniversary on February 22nd, 2011, when the Lake Forest City Council will perform a reenactment of the signing of the city charter. Whereas the city of Lake Forest and its citizens serve as models of hard work, integrity, and dedication for the people of the state of Illinois. Therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 97th General Assembly of the state of Illinois that we congratulate the citizens of the city of Lake Forest on the occasion of the city's 150th anniversary and wish them continued success and happiness in the future. And further resolved that a suitable copy of this resolution be presented to James Cowhey, Mayor of the city of Lake Forest, as a symbol of our esteem and respect. It is signed by Michael Madigan, Speaker of the House.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Abby.
Not often you get one of those. Usually the other way.
Yeah, the other way around, huh?
I hate to say, I think we have to wait another 150 years to get one of these, but it's well worth it. And thank Karen May for doing that. That was very kind of her. And Abby, thank you for coming out this evening and presenting us and reading this to us as well. Thank you. I'll pass it along, and we'll put that in Bob Kiley's office. But, our next, well, first of all, again, thank everyone for coming out this evening. As again, our 150th officially started yesterday. We're happy to be here tonight, but for the general public, the 150 website, Michael, that's the place to go to find all the events over the whole calendar year, and I'm sure we'll be publishing that as well throughout the year. Susan Banks will keep us up to date on all the events coming up, but again, the weather isn't the kind of when we can go out and frolic in the front lawn, but over the next springtime and the summer, and again, we have a big event over Labor Day as our culmination of it. I know we got a huge event planned for that with band and whole wide community involvement, but through the entire year, all different kinds of organizations, besides the Historical Society and many, many others are getting involved. So please stay in touch with the website, and we'll keep you updated as to those events going on during the calendar year. So should be a fun year. Our next item on the agenda is an appointment of Louis Pickus to fill the remaining seat on the CROYA Board. His volunteer profile sheet is on page 13 if you wish to review it. And I would entertain a motion to accept Louis as that remaining seat.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you for that. And that concludes my comments for this evening. The next item on the agenda is comments by City Manager.
No comments this evening, thank you.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda is Council Committee reports. The first being Finance Committee, Alderman Grumhouse, and then we did speak of this at the last prior meeting here just a minute ago, but if you want to go through it again.
Sure, I'll try and hit some highlights. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the Finance Committee committee meeting this evening, we discussed the proposed financial restructuring. While I went through a detailed presentation of that at the meeting, I at least wanted to do a quick overview on the proposed program. For the past 6 months, city staff has been working on the best way to financially restructure the city. Tonight, we're going to ask the council to move forward on this restructuring. The core of this restructuring will involve offering early retirement to qualified employees through the IMRF early retirement program,
Following initial conversations, we believe over 20 employees will opt to take this early retirement. We believe this restructuring will save the city between $345,000 and $775,000 annually for the next 10 years. We expect that the 10 years net present value savings to be over $5 million. This restructuring will allow us to project a balanced budget through 2016, which is an accomplishment that we feel very good about given the pressure that we and other municipalities have been under. In addition to the financial benefits, we are very confident that this restructuring will not only have a minimal effect on city services, but it will also have a very beneficial effect on employee morale as people who have been waiting in the wings get the opportunity to move forward, and to move up the chain and step into further leadership positions. As I said, I'm not going to go through the whole presentation, but I'm happy to take any additional questions from council if there are any. If not, I would love to get a motion to approve the proposed resolution.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Grumhouse.
Aye.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Woodman.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Morsch.
Aye.
Alderman Schoenhyder.
Aye.
Alderman Looby.
Aye.
Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
8 yeas, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you, Bertie, and I just do want to again thank Alderman Grumhouse for all of his work and dedication in this regard. He spent an awful lot of time on this, many weeks and months. And Kathy Reinerson, the finance director, who's now we know is the state expert in this same area. But and two, the individuals in the city, we do, I've said this many times, I've said it since I was an alderman, even before that we have probably the finest workers in the state that help us run this community and work in this community. And we've got 20 or so that will be retiring. They've given at least 20 years of dedication to the community, and we want to thank them for that. That means an awful lot to all of us. It certainly makes this community something special, and we know that the individuals who are also going to step up in their places are very anxious to fill those shoes and do a tremendous job as well. So, again, thank you for everyone who's worked at this and all the help that they have given us to make this work as well. Our next item on the agenda is the Housing Trust.
No report, and no report from the Laurel and Western Committee. We're meeting next month, and we'll have something for you then.
Very good. Alderman Palmer, anything on the Legal Committee?
No report.
And Alderman Novit, the Senior Resource Commission?
Brief. We had our meeting on February 14th, and Marla Sackville, this was her first meeting where she was the head of the Resource Center, and she was great. She brings a different vibrancy to the center than Marge. And she's going to carry the ball well for Marge. The center discussion was a replacement of the senior center bus. It looks like at this point there'll be a very happy resolution at the next meeting, which is scheduled for March 14th. That's it.
Very good. And a St. Patrick's Day gift, huh? The next item is the Public Works Committee. Alderman Looby.
A couple of things under Public Works. We hope that the snow is ending for the year. We hear they may be out again this Thursday. I want to report that we have 1,300 tons of salt in storage. Our estimated usage is 500 tons normally at this time of year to May, so hopefully we'll be in good shape on that.
May.
June, want to hear that?
You never know. I'm trying to do a conservative look at that, just like our budget. So, other than that, we have a couple of things that we're looking to get approval on. The first one is the motor fuel tax funds. We save up 3 years of funds and take the money and go out and spend it to redo our streets. We talked about this last year in the fall and setting up the budget. We have $1,700,000 towards the annual street resurfacing program. The streets were chosen based on an analysis done last year, and we do that about every 5 years on the entire city street inventory of 130 miles. And in doing that, we've chosen our streets for this year. We will have final approvals on this at our budget meeting, but we need to get an approval for this to go out to bid to find out where we come in. We also are doing this together with Highland Park and which is the other one? Lincolnshire, to look to see if we can have a better bid price on the project this year. So we're looking for an approval of resolution for $1,700,000 in the funds towards the street resurfacing.
So moved.
Question, quick. We have absolutely no obligation to go with this program, right? I think we discussed that. I just want to be clear that we don't tie our hands here in any way whatsoever.
With the other communities, you mean?
Yeah.
That's correct.
In the event that we, for whatever reason, decided we didn't want to do it.
This is just recommended action.
Great.
To move
Good.
ahead.
Well, let me correct that. I think we have a intergovernmental agreement, and if a community wants to pull out, they got to pull out before the bidding date. So once we go to bid, again, unless the prices come really exorbitant, then all the three communities can collectively say we are all calling it off. So which we try to minimize the scope of the project, minimize the amount of the project to keep it like close to $3 million. In the event something like this can happen, let's say we want to do a $10 million project, we don't want the contractor to come in March and then show back in September. So we reduced it to keep it at a $3 million project to avoid those things. But for now, the way the agreement states, we are, once we go to bid, we are, all the three communities are going together with this.
My only concern would be the concerns I raised the last time around. We may feel, for whatever reason, that we're willing to pay more money depending on schedule or other issues with the project. If you're 100% confident that we can get our desires met with respect to schedule, which I think is much more important to most people.
Right, and I think Alderman Morsch, I think that's the key point to reducing try to get the communities which are close proximity to Lake Forest rather than joining hands with Glenview and Northbrook. One of the reasons why we said that we stick to the Lake County North Shore, close to the, which are adjacent to Lake Forest, to go with this program. So, again, this is a testing year. We are going to come back to the council at the end of the year to give a report of all the municipal partnering programs so that next year, we can see the.
Do we have a bid
savings
on our own to decide the difference? To make sure that we're getting the savings we projected?
On the alternate, again, we are 1.7. Highland Park is around 900, and then Lincolnshire is in around 300, 400. So we are the, we are the bigger fish in this. So.
Okay.
We are crossing our fingers.
I'm comfortable. I just.
Yes, I think with the scope being reduced, we are very comfortable. We are very, very restrictive before, trying to go with the larger communities, way south, and then we get the trucking fees part of that contract. So we try to avoid all that.
Okay, sorry I interrupted the vote there. I apologize.
And Ramesh, the city's actually our city's actually managing the process here, correct?
Right. The residents should not see any difference than any other construction project we've been doing. Right. City of Lake Forest is going to be managing the project by in-house staff. All the complaints or any notifications or everything will be still the same. None of the field activity is going to change with this procedure.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you.
And we're doing it only for ourselves. The other communities are responsible for their own work. Okay, so we need a
roll call vote, please.
We need a roll call for recommend.
Did you get a second?
Did we get a second?
I was the first.
You did. I interrupted
Okay.
after the second. I
All right.
apologize. Again.
We have a second now?
Who was the second?
Okay.
Who was the second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Morsch. Okay. All right. Alderman Grumhouse.
Aye.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Woodman.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Morsch.
Aye.
Alderman Schoenhyder.
Aye.
Alderman Looby.
Aye.
Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
8 yeas, no nays, motion carries.
Okay, the next one is for replacing the lighting at the Recreation Center Gymnasium and racquetball courts. We discussed this also at the Finance Committee. We have lights that are 25 years old. We're bringing them into this century in lighting. It'll be far less expensive to operate them and a great improvement. It went out to bid, and Ridgeview Electric came in with the lowest bid. They have looked at the company, and they've met all of the required project specifications, and their references are favorable. So the amount of the bid is $31,700. They will be doing this project over spring break when there is low usage of the rec center, so it will be completed very quickly. So
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Grumhouse.
Aye.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Woodman.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Morsch.
Aye.
Alderman Schoenhyder.
Aye.
Alderman Looby.
Aye.
Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
8 yeas, no nays, motion carries.
Okay, and I have one third one just quickly for information. In looking, and we've talked about the stabilization of the South Road to the beach. We have put together a couple of options on that. One of the options will be saving us approximately $400,000, and we want to let everybody see this. Again, this will be approved later at the final budgets, but it's just for information, and Ramesh will explain it to us.
Right. If you recall, good evening, council members. If you recall, at our budget meeting, we had noticed the, in the past we have come to you regarding the bluff failures we noticed along this road, and we had the option to redo the entire road until here. And what this option is like, it's a step, what we call is a step higher than the earlier option, where we are trying to reduce the footprint of the total reconstruction of the South Beach access road to a much shorter. At the same time, we want to align the road so that we can avoid the, right now there's a steep curve here, we can avoid what we call is the side distances. So as Alderman Looby said, we are going to go with all these three options at the Finance Committee meeting, at the annual budget meeting next month. But we just wanted to show you that this is the option we are trying to pursue. We explained to the Public Works Committee the merits of this option, and if you recall, the mayor had a concern regarding the amount of fill we were going to ship off-site. This option gives us that flexibility where we can have most of the fill be basically whatever we dig to lower the profile be placed right there on the site. So it's a win-win situation, and it will help us with our perennial bluff failure problems, and also the costs are much less than the original option. So.
And my concern with the haul-off was the cost.
Cost, right.
And obviously that's what you're addressing, is if you can change that configuration and leave the material on site, that we have reduced the cost significantly. So
that's correct.
400,000.
What is in that new roadway? Is it lower grade than the current roadway?
Right. So what will happen is, right now, if you recall, Alderman Grumhouse, the road just goes down.
Right.
So in the new configuration, what will happen is the road is going to go down initially and then have a bump and then again go down. So we are trying to collect the water, everything, all the water will be channeled to the center of this road, and then we're going to have a storm sewer discharging to the ravine. This blue line you're seeing, that's the existing ravine. And this is what we call is a ravine which doesn't have any runoff at all. It's that abandoned ravine. That's where we're going to fill in, and then we're going to channel the water with a storm sewer so that all the runoff coming from this new road will be going back to the ravine. And we're going to soften the slope so that we won't have those bluff failures each year. We try to band-aid this road every year to make it more passable and all, but with this permanent fix, we are hopeful to avoid all those future problems.
And do you need like Army Corps? I mean, do we need any permission?
This is all, since we are not disturbing any part of the Lake Michigan. If any impact over there, then we require, City of Lake Forest is a certified community within the Lake County Stormwater Management, and this doesn't require any wetlands, so City of Lake Forest is authorized to do the work.
Ramesh, what does the yellow dotted line represent?
That's the limits of disturbance. So basically, because we have to, right now the slopes are very steep on the other side, so those are what we call as the limits of disturbance. So that's where the excavation area entails, and the filling area. Those are the limits of the excavation and the filling area. Basically, we're gonna go that far to soften the slope, and then use that whatever we're gonna cut down here, we're gonna fill it in this ravine.
Will there be any impact on mature trees?
I'm gonna use the line Alderman Moore or somebody used at the Public Works Committee. I think most of them are like buckthorn. We looked at with our forestry department, and as part of what we call is after the project is done, we're going to take a look at it, and then if there's any plantings to be done, we will planting. But for the most part, it is a ravine with no runoff, so the tree impact will be very minimal compared to what the earlier plan we had, where we had to go all the way down. So
What's the brown building that's
Oh,
on
it's not, it's just a concrete pad. There used to be I think it's a coach house. There used to be a house way back.
That was just a metal storage building.
Metal storage
years
building.
ago.
It's just a concrete pad
They
right now.
stored, just picnic tables and
Picnic
stuff in
table,
there.
right. It's just a concrete
Yeah.
pad.
The building's been removed, it's just a pad.
Okay.
But we will be restoring the area along the road to, you know, good vegetation for the bluff.
Right.
Versus what is just kind of a wild jungle down there now.
Yeah,
So if you see any, you know, or hear of any cutting, that's what's going on. They're cleaning that out.
Right. If you go down right now, you can see some of the trees, going back to your Alderman Whitman, some of the trees are leaning. And whenever you see that the trees are leaning, they're not upright, that means there's a movement of earth underneath, and that's why they lean. So it is our hope that once we get this thing done, if we have to do any planting, minimal planting, we can look into that.
The plan too is to do this after Labor Day, when the use of the beach drops off, because there will be temporary close that road down to the sailing area, so.
That's cool.
They'll have to walk down to get to their boats.
Just curiosity, is the grade for where the old road is, or the existing road, is that going to remain on the same level, or is that going to be used to create the new road?
Right. The way we are planning, again, you know, with the contractor is, you know, he's going to try to keep that road as much as he can until this new road is constructed, so that, you know, that way he's not working on a dirt path, basically. And after he gets what we call is the base layer done, then we'll have the existing road removed, so that he's, you know, the construction is going on a what we call is a solid road.
What I'm trying to get to is the elevation of the road going to remain. Just, yeah, and this is, as I'm looking at it, and just a thought I'm throwing out there, but perhaps if there's a gentler grade going down to the beach level, possibly maybe handicap access to the beach, you know, it might be a gentler grade where people could get down there.
Or trying to
For access, it's just a thought.
Yes.
There might be some usage for the old road area.
Oh, again, I think the slopes right now, what we have, Alderman Novit, is like the slopes here, right here, from the existing road towards the bluff. Those are the steep slopes. So any cutting we're gonna do, we are back to the same position we are right now.
Okay.
We are trying to avoid those steep slope cutting. So handicap ramp will require, you know, some kind of a retaining wall structure to be able to get that access slope.
Not practical.
But we are hopeful that that wooden ramp, you know, right now that the wooden access, when that is being rehabilitated, we're going to try to get the handicap access.
I should have a question for you. As you pointed out, at some point, all the land inside that yellow line will be clear cut and be bulldozed and regraded and shaped. And I think at that point in time, some of the neighbors might have a deep concern about what it's going to end up looking like. Is there, will there be available any landscape plan that we could show people or refer people to at that point?
I mean, right now, we are not, I mean, we are going to try to tag the trees so that, you know, residents and everybody can take a look at what those trees are.
But everything within the yellow is going to be gone?
Everything within the yellow. Because
all the way gone, bulldozed, leveled off?
That's the disturbance area we call. So
and will there be a landscape plan developed for that yellow area before construction begins?
I don't, we are not in the, right now, we're not in that stage yet, Alderman Moore, but I don't think we are planning to do a full-scale landscape plan, but having said that, we can take a look at it to supplement some of the trees which were lost to provide some more additional trees, but a full-scale landscape plan was not in the
paragraph describing the process, or
yes, that we can do.
Maybe as a follow-on, I was a little concerned that this. I mean, I know there were people here that were probably hearing that there may be some discussion of this project and they've left. So if we could either have these on the agenda or inform the council beforehand when it regards Forest Park, that would be great. I know we're not taking any action tonight, so we don't have to. Nobody has to worry that we're taking action. This will come up when it comes up, and if we can just in the future, when it does come up, can we please publicize it?
Yeah, we will absolutely do that, and we will absolutely bring to the Public Works Committee what the vegetation plan is going to be after completion of the project, because we'll have to do both at the same time. I think what we really were looking for was some direction from the City Council. If you like the concept of straightening out the road, then engineering can proceed forward with putting the plans together And Alderman Morsch, in response to your question, yes, we will absolutely, when this is on the council agenda for action, we'll make sure that it's well publicized.
And to reinforce what Ramesh said, the trees that might be removed are going to be tagged beforehand, so people in the area will have an opportunity to see what's going on.
Right. Before,
Tagging's important.
right, we will, make sure that those trees which are, approximate limits of those tree removal are shown. And again, this project will be, as Bob just said, at the March 21st, we are gonna go through the whole options. We just wanted to, it was discussed at the Public Works Committee, John just wanted to bring it up to the whole council.
During its moonscape phase, when it's all dirt, I would just like to have something to tell people who call, this is what it'll look like.
We just brought this so that you'd know that it was coming and that we had an option that could save money. So we weren't really prepared tonight to show you, landscape plans, because that's.
I wasn't asking tonight, we're
Right,
asking
but,
for
well,
direction, and this is
that will
direction.
come up, right, and that this is a separate project from the park completely, that we had to fix this road or we wouldn't be able to use it. Like when
yeah,
we-
I didn't
like when we
mention
fixed
the park.
The North Road, but I'm just saying, this
Right.
is strictly for this road area and getting it so that it's usable.
But at tonight's meeting, we're looking for direction and comments on concerns about
Right.
option 2, correct?
Well, what we want to do is just direct engineering into saying, we kind of
Option
like
2.
the idea option 2, it'll save us money, go forward and.
The difference
let's look
between
at it.
option 2 and option 3 was about a third of the disturbance area.
Right.
So
and
in
that's-
choosing option 2, I'd like to have a solution for the large disturbance area. That was just part of the
Right,
direction.
and that's what they'll prepare
You know what would
now
be
that we're
great
giving
is
them direction.
if we could bring this, have the Public Works Committee agree on what they agree on, and then bring it to City Council would be great.
We agree.
We agree it's option 2.
We agreed on 2.
Just so I could get it out there again, option 2 minimizes the impact area as compared to option 3 and 1. This is a
Correct.
smaller area.
And
of
saves us money.
disturbance.
That's correct.
So that's the end of the report from Public Works.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Looby. Our next item on the agenda is the Transportation Safety Enhancement Committee. I'll just make a few brief comments. There will not be a meeting next Monday. We do not have substantial items there to discuss. The one thing we'll continue to work on is trying to acquire a Amtrak stop at the West Side Train Depot. Bob Kiley, myself, and a couple of members from the Transportation Safety Enhancement Committee will continue to work on that, and we're trying to see if we can get some support in Washington. There was an article in the Tribune, I believe it was Monday, Bob, and there was a long discussion about Amtrak and Governor Quinn directing them to see if they could get a rail line from O'Hare, or from the city back to O'Hare. Well, we already have the rail line here, we're just trying to get them to stop, both from a safety standpoint and from an economic standpoint, to open up the corridor back into Wisconsin. Obviously, Wisconsin's got some issues of their own right now, so they're not quite focused on this as we are. But we'll continue to work on it, and that's what we'll be discussing.
What do you mean? It would give them a much faster exit route for all their senators to get down here.
Yeah,
Especially if they put the high-speed rail there, too.
Most of the Senate's in Illinois right now, so.
Ask them to come and stay at the Deer Path Inn.
Right, exactly.
That concludes the items from the Transportation Safety Enhancement Committee. Our next item on the agenda is comments by council members. Any additional comments? No? Next item is opportunity for public to address the city council on non-agenda items. Anyone from the public this evening? No, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We do have one item, and that's just the approval of the February 7, 2011 city council meeting minutes. And I entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Our next item is ordinances. We do have one ordinance. It's a consideration of a report and recommendation from the Zoning Board of Appeals in support of variances from the side and rear yard setback requirements at 865 Church Road. This is a first reading, and if desired by the City Council, final approval. It will be presented by Kathy Cerniak, our Director of Community Development.
Okay, that's a little dark, but while Karina messes with that, this is a request for a side yard and a rear yard variance This comes to you with unanimous recommendation from the Zoning Board of Appeals, as well as a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Historic Preservation Commission. The property is located on Church and Westminster. It's this property right here on the corner. Does that help? This is a request for a variance that would allow a second-floor addition to be constructed over an existing garage. This house was constructed, I believe, in the 1930s. At the time it was constructed, it was in full compliance with all zoning regulations that were in place at that time. However, as a result of city changes to the zoning code, the house, a majority of the house currently encroaches into the 35-foot rear yard setback and 12-foot side yard setback. This shaded area is the footprint of the existing house. Second floor addition is located entirely within the footprint of that existing garage. And I apologize, I don't know why this projector isn't working too well tonight. The Historic Preservation Commission, as they looked at this proposed addition, this is the garage. The house comes forward and is much more prominent. Church is out here. The Historic Preservation Commission actually noted that with the addition above the garage will increase the roof by about 3.5 feet, and there'll be a connection portion here that'll be an increase in roof height of about 7.5 feet. The Historic Preservation Commission commented that that increase in height will actually improve the proportions of the house. So this does come to you with a unanimous recommendation. This project is in compliance with the lot coverage, does not require a building scale variance, and if you choose to do so, it would be appropriate to waive first reading tonight and grant final approval.
Questions or comments for Kathy?
Motion to waive first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Grumhouse?
Aye.
Alderman Novit?
Aye.
Alderman Woodman?
Aye.
Alderman Moore?
Aye.
Alderman Morsch?
Aye.
Alderman Schoenhyder?
Aye.
Alderman Looby?
Aye.
Alderman Palmer?
Aye.
8 yeas, no nays, motion carries.
Thank you, Bertie. Our next item on the agenda is new business. I don't believe we have anything new. After that, additional items for council discussion. Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.